This is a message for believing women. I'm going to go through the Rainbow Covenant, which was established with Noah during the time of the flood, which is also referred to as a Noahic covenant to eat biblically clean. Because a lot of times when I tell you that, you look at me like I have 5 heads, or you associate it with eating organically and whole foods to change your diet to live a healthier lifestyle. And I've even seen it with non-believers, agnostics, and atheists. And that's not necessarily what the Father has asked of us, especially if you are breaking his dietary laws. We do have a food menu in Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14, which clearly establishes what is food, what is meant to be eaten, and what is unclean, which is an abomination unto the Father. So I'm going to begin in Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord Jehovah said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And this is when the fallen angels, the watchers, had children with the women, and that is where the Nephilim came from, the giants. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it relented Jehovah that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And we see in Ecclesiastes 1:9 that there is nothing new under the sun. So what happened then is going to happen again, but on a grander scale. So in Jeremiah 17:9, he tells you that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Jehovah, search the reins, and I try the heart to give every man according to the fruit of their doings. And you Christian and Catholic women love to say, well, God knows my heart. Well, where's your fear and reverence for the one who made you? The one who can kill both the body and the soul. And Jehovah said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Again, they're getting destroyed because of disobedience unto the Father. And that's exactly what is going to happen now. But rather than a flood of water, it's going to be a flood of fire. Satan is going to be cast down over the drunkards of Ephraim, and Yeshua, the Hebrew Messiah, is going to return with the 144,000 to execute righteous judgment. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Jehovah. He found favor in the eyes of the Father. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. And this verse actually goes with 2 Peter 2, which I recommend you read the chapter to its entirety with Romans 13 and the book of Jude. And it goes to verse 5. And spared not the world, but saved Noah, the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the worlds of the ungodly. So Noah and his family were spared because of his obedience, because he was found perfect in heart with the Father. He prepared his heart to seek the Lord, to keep his statutes and his judgments, and to do and teach them. He had a heart that was humble and contrite. And continuing on, And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before Jehovah, and the earth was filled with violence. And Jehovah looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And Jehovah said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Jehovah is angry at a foolish nation, and his wrath comes upon the children of disobedience, which you see in Ephesians 5:6 and Colossians 3:6. And it tells us in Matthew 24, verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many will grow cold. Meaning, because of sin, lawlessness, the transgression of the law, the love of many will grow cold. They won't have the love of God and the love of neighbor written upon their hearts. So this is why he gives you over to a strong delusion and a reprobate mind, that spirit of deep sleep, that slumber. So this is why you see men with men, women with women, all kinds of people thinking they can change their genders, because Romans 1 is well underway due to covenant breakers. Because of introducing idolatry, such as Christmas, Easter, Halloween, and Valentine's Day, going after other lowercase g gods. That is fornication, and the result of fornication is the state of the world that we're living in right now. We are corrupted. Are you found without spot and blemish? Have you repented from your evil deeds? Have you turned away from unrighteousness and entered into life, as your Messiah told you in Matthew 19, verses 16 through 22, which means to keep the Holy Covenant, the 10 Commandments, which are written on 2 tables of stone by the Father himself, Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy 5, and to love your neighbor as yourself, to fulfill the royal law, which means to rebuke sin, to have a burden for souls, to lay down your life for the brethren, just as your Messiah did, James 2:8 through 9, and Leviticus 19:15 through 18. Are you doing those things? You're not. Because if you were, you would have taught your children to do the same, because the 5th commandment is the first with promise, Ephesians 6:1 through 3, and Deuteronomy 6, which is parents keep the 10 commandments while teaching their children simultaneously to do the same. So had you taught your children, and your parents had taught you, and your grandparents, and your great-grandparents, and so on and so forth, we would be in a much different state than we are right now. But you see that things are ramping up, and it's waxing worse and worse and worse. You don't even want to hear the truth written of in the Holy Scriptures. You abhor those that rebuke in the gates daily. You don't love the watchmen and the maidservants. You despise prophesying. All you want is to have your ears tickled. And woe unto you, silly women laden with sins, ever learning, but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. The greatest gift you'll ever receive is what is written of in this word. But you deny it because you deny your Messiah. You stumbled at the rock of offense, the stumbling stone, because of disobedience. Go read 1 Peter 2 and Isaiah 8. But anyways, that was a little bit of a tangent. I'm going to go back to Genesis. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shall thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof. With lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall thou come unto thee to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten. So even Noah and his family knew what was considered to be food. And thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that Jehovah commanded him, so did he. Because Noah proved his faith with obedience. And we see that faith without works is dead. You can't just have this superstitious faith and throw on a cross between your breasts and say, I'm going to be saved because I wear my cross and I believe in Jesus. You actually have to produce fruit. You must walk in the good works ordained of old. Ephesians 2:12 and Jeremiah 6:16 through 19. Become grafted back into the commonwealth of Israel. There are only 12 gates to the 12 tribes of Israel. There is no Gentile gate. The Gentiles are the heathen, those whom are without hope and without God. They're outside of covenant with Yeshua. And so I'm going to continue on in Genesis chapter 7, verses 1 through 3. Noah was commanded to take 7 clean pairs of animals and 2 unclean. Something for you to know is that a lot of Bibles will take out that number 7 completely. I've even seen it in some of the children's Bibles that my brother had in the past. So you're being led astray. Even your pastors know this, but they're withholding the truth of God from you. It's the blind leading the blind. Stop listening to the man on the pulpit who is leading you straight to the pit. And Jehovah said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. And in 1 John 3:7, it tells us, little children, let no man deceive you. He that doeth righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. And the righteousness of God is the 10 commandments, Psalm 119, 172. My tongue shall speak of thy word, for all thy commandments are righteousness. And in Deuteronomy 6, 24 through 25, it says, if we observe to do all these commandments that the Lord Jehovah gave us, then they will become our righteousness. So you must be walking in his ways. Obey his voice, and you'll become a peculiar treasure unto him. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7s, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. Of fowls also of the air by 7s, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. And you see in this section here that Noah was righteous, he was lawful, he was just, he was turned to righteousness, he was cleansed from his iniquities, he was walking in the ways of the Father, and even with this task of making sure to grab the right amount of animals, he obeyed. He reverenced his heavenly Father. Genesis 7, verses 8 through 9. Of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls and of everything that creepeth upon the earth, there went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as Jehovah commanded Noah. And you have to know that the clean animals were used for a sacrifice and food, but the unclean were taken for preservation of its kind. So swine, aka Porky the pig, is not food. It is unclean. Alongside shrimp, oyster, clam, crab, lobster, and so on and so forth. And you see more about this rainbow covenant in Genesis chapter 8, verse 20. And Noah builded an altar unto Jehovah, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And then jumping forward to Genesis 9, verses 3 through 4. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb, I have given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. So a part of this covenant established with Noah is that we are not to touch the blood. And we see that in Acts 15 and the book of Jubilees as well. And Jehovah said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. So this is an everlasting covenant. I do set my bow in the cloud, his rainbow, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow, the rainbow in the sky that you see, shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant. God is a promise keeper. He does not break his covenants, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Jehovah and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. So this is going to be part 1 of the rainbow covenant, which is to eat biblically clean according to the scripture.